Little voices like that make me happy. All right, so if everyone can come on in, I'll give you a few more minutes because I see people coming in even as we speak. We'll get started momentarily, but I want to make a couple of announcements, and then I'll introduce myself and introduce our program. Still not rushing because I see people moving to their seat. So you're welcome and you're at home here, so no one's rushing you. So first, a bit of housekeeping. I do enough of these events of my own and of our own. I work, fortunately, with an organization that partners with the Texas Organ Sharing Alliance, and we put on events to honor our donor families up in the Austin area. If anyone is here from Austin, please find me afterward. And I know that you need to first tell people where the bathrooms are, okay? So if you haven't had the opportunity to look for them yet, they're straight out of the back doors. I hear people's phones going off, so there's an alert of some kind, all right? Straight out the back door and against the back wall to the right, you will see the men's and women's restrooms. That's probably the first and most important piece of business, especially with so many children in the room. Secondly, if there are any seats, you can see that it is almost standing room only, and we are filling up even more. I see more people coming in, so I have been asked to announce that please, if you see empty seats next to you, get close, squeeze in to allow more room. There are people who are waving their hands and holding their hands up, telling you there's 3 here and 2 there in the back. So there is an opportunity for you to find a place to sit if you need them. And squeeze in, we are all family here. Don't be afraid to bump up against each other. Thirdly, I'm making an announcement that there are some technical difficulties with the live stream for this program today. I understand that a lot of people drove in from long distances, and there are probably people back home who didn't make the trip who want to live stream. There's 2 more seats over there. I see a hand up. The service is being recorded. So afterward, I've been told that you can search on the YouTube page of the Texas Organ Sharing Alliance, and you will find the fully recorded version of what goes on here today. Correct? All right. I got the nod from the person who said that. There's 2 more seats over here and 2 more back here. Here's some more hands for those of you in the back. And there's some reserved seats up here. They're reserved for you. So come on, don't be shy to come up to the front. All right. And with that, let us begin. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for this special event. My name is Sherman Lemuel Bradshaw, and I'm a volunteer advocate for the Texas Organ Sharing Alliance. I have been since about the year 2000, and the reason that I have been is that I am also a 2-time heart recipient. I am the direct beneficiary of the decisions that people like you have made twice, first in 1999 and again in 2020. And their decisions have allowed me to be here today, also to see 3 daughters grown and gone. Best kind of kids you can have, the grown and gone kind. But they all live close to me in Austin, Texas, and they have brought me 10 grandchildren, none of whom were born before my heart transplant. 2 of them are here with me today. And I'm going to do the worst thing you could do to 16-year-olds. I'm going to have them stand up because they got brand new clothes on. Stand up and look back. All right? This is my number 2 grandchild, Lathan. He'll tell you he's the favorite. All right? And that is 3 weeks apart in age, my beautiful princess, Talea. And I have 8 more at home, including 4 that are at home driving my wife crazy. I'm so glad that I am here. All right. Including our 8-month-old. After my second heart transplant in 2020, that one was born right in the heart of COVID, well after it, but after that period in all of our lives. And were it not for the second family having made that choice, I would never have gotten to see her, or him rather. I had to think for a second when you have that many. Which one is it, a little boy or a little girl at this last? Okay. I have 10 little stinky boys and 7 princess girls, and all of them are in my life because of the decisions that people like you have made for me. So today what we're doing is forever memorializing your loved ones and you, and the decisions that were made to allow people like me to live out the next chapters of their lives. But before we get started, because I can't make, according to my wife, everything about me, I'm an only child diva, as she says, who loves nothing more than the sound of my own voice, I'll stop with that here and start our ceremony by inviting members of the San Antonio Fire and Police Joint Color Guards for the presentation of colors. We ask that if you are able, please stand for this very special part of our ceremony. Please be seated. Thank you for that, to the color guard. To share with you the symbolism and meaning behind the Wall of Heroes, now please welcome Mr. Joe Nesbrawl, CEO of the Texas Organ Sharing Alliance.
Thank you, Lemuel. Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome families, welcome to this event. It gives me great honor to be here today with you all. Today we're here to dedicate another year of our Donor Memorial Garden, which hopefully you all get a chance to spend some time there today. We're very grateful to have you here and honor the legacy of your loved one and celebrate the power of organ donation. As you came in today, I hope you got a moment to see the photos of some of the life-saving heroes on our screens, and we're here to pay tribute to. Thank you for sharing your memories of them so we could see the faces of those who saved lives last year in 2023. This garden, along with the Wall of Heroes, is a beacon of hope for transplant recipients, and it's a sacred place for us all to reflect on life, on the life of your loved ones and the lives they saved. We're all touched by the generosity of the gift of life. The Wall of Heroes pays tribute to the men, women, and children who gave others a second chance at life through organ donation, as we saw Lemuel speak of his experience and the miracle that we experience on a daily basis. There are 3,837 medals that currently hang on the Wall of Heroes, representing organ donors from 1988 through 2023. And I hope you get a chance to watch these medals now that the sun is coming out. Hopefully you'll see the medals sway in the wind and glisten in the sun. It's a very powerful and humbling experience. Today, we honor the organ donors and also you, donor families. As we dedicate the newest section of the Wall of Heroes, please know that our staff, TOSA's board, governing board, the recipients, and the thousands of people nationwide who await an organ transplant and that second chance of life, they appreciate your loved one's gift every day. Thank you very much.
So you heard something about me and who I am and my story and all of that, and I'll be glad, of course, to share that with anyone who will listen. You know, if you get a new car, what's the first thing you do with it? You drive around and show everybody and tell everybody about your new car. Well, I got new hearts. So people like me, especially in a room like this, will share that story any and every time you ask, and sometimes even when you don't ask. Now, coming to the stage to give you, though, the full story, not just the abbreviated version as a special guest, my transplant brother, Mr. Matt Langley, who will talk about how a liver transplant in 2020 and how organ donation in general changed his life. Matt, please.
Thank you, Lem. If I seem nervous, it's because I am. This is quite overwhelming, so thank you for the honor of speaking with you today. As Lem said, my name is Matt Langley. I'm 53. I received my liver March 1st of 2020. And I'm also a recovering alcoholic. So sober now 4 years, 9 months, or as my app said this morning, 1,741 days. I'm a father of 2 wonderful kids, a 20-year-old college student and a 17-year-old daughter, both wrapping up their school years. My son up at the University of Arizona, my daughter is a senior in high school at Anderson High School in Austin, Texas. They asked me today to come and talk a little bit about my story, and I've kind of found that a little bit ironic because it's so overwhelming, the gift that I received, and it's all about you and your families and people like you that do this for so many of us. As I said, I'm a recovering alcoholic and have probably been categorized as an alcoholic since my late teens, but was very functional. My story really started on my transplant journey July 29th of 2019. And that was the day that my wife said, enough, I'm taking you to the hospital, getting you checked out, and we're gonna figure out what's going on. I was a very good alcoholic as far as alcoholism goes, in that I was very good at hiding. I was a salesman for a technology company, and I was one of the top producers, top reps. I was present at my kids' sport. My kids are big into sports, travel basketball, travel volleyball, you name it, they did it. And I was able to be present and pulled it off and did it very well. And finally it caught up to me. I was a former Division I athlete, swimmer at the University of Nebraska. And in my mind, I was always able to convince myself that others couldn't see it, that I was a strong, powerful man that was able to do these things and nobody noticed. And a lot of people didn't notice, but the people who knew me best noticed. And I was talking to my daughter last night, and she was telling me that my presentation was no good, and that I needed to just speak from the heart. And she said, the worst thing about it was we were actually excited for you when you went to the hospital, and eventually when they told you you were going to need a transplant, because the scariest thing for us was the addiction. And the transplant was our opportunity to see our dad again. And so it's very powerful what an organ donation does. I checked into St. David's North that day, July 29th of 2019, and subsequently spent about 6 months in St. David's North, drying out and then going through a series of ups and downs. I caught pneumonia while in the hospital. They brought me back in. My kidneys began to fail because of the pneumonia and the care that they gave me. Eventually, they gave me a colonoscopy to check and see what was going on, because I was losing so much weight. If you're familiar with alcohol addiction, ascites was taking over, so I was losing weight, but my stomach was continuing to grow because the fluids were coming down. I had high levels of pneumonia in my body because my body couldn't process it. And I just saw one of my doctors over here to the right, and I kind of took me back for a second, Dr. Speak. Eventually, it got to the point where at St. David's in Austin, they said, there's nothing more that we can do for you. You're going to need to either go to University Health or to St. Luke's and in Houston. And at the time in Austin, there wasn't a whole lot of education. There wasn't a whole lot of knowledge around transplant. We weren't equipped in town to really handle a liver transplant. And so we really didn't know. We didn't know about TOSA at the time, which would have been a fabulous resource for us. We were very fortunate that one of my doctors at St. David's had been on a transplant team and said, you need to go to San Antonio. And so once they gave us the all clear, they put me in an ambulance and brought me up here to San Antonio to University Health. And I spent the next probably about 3 weeks in the ICU, spending time, evaluating, doing all the tests that they do to get you listed, or failing all the tests that they do to get you listed, which I got pretty good at. I had lost a significant amount of weight. I started my journey at about 240 pounds. By the time I got to San Antonio, I was about 140, maybe 145 pounds. Today I'm about 190, so that kind of tells you where I was at. Went through those tests, went through a lot of ups and downs while in San Antonio. And the one thing I'll say about the journey to a transplant is you don't realize what phenomenal people are there to support you, right? You don't really have any idea what's going to happen, but the people that are there, the technicians, the nurses, the doctors, and the people that contribute to your journey are just phenomenal people, right? Never blink an eye, never judge you, never look at you funny. And being yellow and skinny and with a big belly and things like that, you're always wondering about those things. So I was very fortunate, and I went through my battery test. I had a wonderful group of doctors and nurses and technicians that I got to know, over the weeks that I was there, and eventually qualified to get listed. And I was very sick at the time, and my wife, my kids, we didn't know how sick that I was. And my wife and I had actually made a deal that while I was in the hospital, she was going to stay home and make sure our kids continued on with what they were doing. Right? She never, my mom was like, she doesn't sleep at the hospital. I'm like, we would definitely get divorced if she slept at the hospital. So that's really a no-go. But she stayed home in Austin and took care of the kids and made sure that everything happened for them, right? That they continued on their path. And I was in the hands of the folks in San Antonio. And, I was very fortunate in that once I finally got listed, within a very, very short period of time, they were able to find a liver for me, right? And it's ironic because my daughter at the time, the day that I found out that there was a liver, my son was playing basketball. He was in a high school playoff game here in San Antonio. And my wife, my daughter, and 2 of our friends had come up to the hospital to see me prior to going to his playoff game. And it was February 28th, and it was his 16th birthday. And so he'd gotten his driver's license earlier in that day. We were in the process of getting him a beater of a car so that he could get around. And so it was a big day for him. He was a sophomore in high school. But I was very sick, right? So it was a lot of good things going on for him, but there was this thing weighing the whole family down. And the nurse said, you have to accept the liver. They're going to call you, and you have to accept the liver. We had people in the room, and I guess my phone rang. I don't know. And she poked her head in, and she said, did your phone ring? And I said, I don't know. And she goes, it did, and you need to answer it, and you need to accept it. And she said it a little differently than that. But, get it together. And so they called, and I accepted it. And one of the guys that was in the room was this guy. He played linebacker at Ohio State. He was a good friend of the family. Our boys played sports growing up together. And as soon as I accepted it and told my wife, obviously the room got very emotional. there's a Chick-fil-A across the street from university, and he all of a sudden had to run and go get something to eat from Chick-fil-A because we don't think he wanted anybody to see him cry. And so I was able to get the liver, and so they automatically start prepping you, right, for surgery the next day. And they come in, and it's great, so my wife's like, we're going to go to the game, we're going to go watch him play, and then, we'll be back. And the nurses come in and doctors, and they do their thing, and some of it's blurry because it was just all sorts of things going on. So I don't remember everything, but I remember them coming in and saying, they're going to come get you at 4 o'clock in the morning, get some sleep. And you're like, get some sleep. I'm close to dying. I am dying. And I've got 6 a.m. surgery. My son's in a basketball game. It's his 16th birthday. How am I going to sleep? Well, I didn't sleep. And they came in at 4 a.m. They wheeled me back to the prep. And they say, we can't get a hold of your wife. But do we go through it? Something like that. I don't remember exactly the words, but I was like, that's fine. She doesn't need to be here, right? We gotta do this. And they kept saying, well, we can't find your wife. And I'm like, I don't know where she is. She's doing her thing. And she was in the courtyard over by University Health, and they had slept through the alarm, and I guess they turned their phones off while they were at the game. And anyway, they eventually woke up and were able to make it over. My surgery went off, and it was a little touch and go at points. I was bleeding out at one point, and she had to sign some papers saying, hey, there's a good possibility he's not going to make it. And, do we want to proceed? And fortunately, they did. And I had a very successful transplant surgery and came out of surgery on March 1st. March 1st was the beginning of COVID, as a lot of you know. And so they moved me over to the rehab portion of the hospital after a few days of recovery. When they moved me over, I did have some PTs and some OTs helping me with my recovery, but I think after about 2 or 3 days, the weekend came, and my physical therapist had said, I may not be here on Monday because COVID's coming, we have to cut costs and all this kind of stuff. So lo and behold, Monday, they were gone. And so my rehab, effectively, I had one rehab doctor, we were trying to do stuff, but they're handling a lot of folks. And so it got very, it's whatever we can do, right? Do the best that you can. And so I was trying to do the best that I could. I was trying to get out of bed to the point that they actually had to bring in one of the alarms that they put on the bed so that when they hear you get out of bed, they come in and tell you, no, you can't get out of bed anymore. But I had gotten this new liver, and my thinking was, I can't just sit here, right? I've got to take advantage of this. I mean, this person has passed on, and I've received this gift, and I've got this second chance, right? And, eventually they said it's time to go home. I think it was March 17th, and COVID was in full flight. They were shutting the hospital down as far as having people come in except, close family. And so a friend of mine came to pick me up because my wife was in Colorado at my daughter's volleyball tournament. And I went home and I was just sitting there with him, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? There's no physical therapy. There's no occupational therapy. We have a swimming pool in the backyard. Maybe I can go get in. And the doctor was like, you don't need to be in the pool yet till your stitches heal. I'm like, but I have to do something. And while I was sitting there looking at my computer, the swim coach at the University of Texas Masters team had sent an email to all of the swimmers that I'd been on that team years and years ago, but I was still on the mailing list. And she said, hey, these are the exercises you guys need to do to stay in shape so that when the pool opens back up, you can come in. And then I said, that's going to be my rehab. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to get myself back because I've been given this, and I can't just sit here, right? I couldn't work at the time. A lot of work was closed down. From a sales perspective, I was working for Dell at the time, and we were on a very skeleton type force, right? Very few people were working. You were working from home, and I wasn't equipped to go back to work yet. So I put it in my head that my goal was I'm going to physically come back, and I'm going to do it on my own. I had a 16-year-old boy. We had a garage full of weights, and so that's what I did. And I did it because you receive this unbelievably powerful gift from someone that you can't, there's no words that I can say that justify what I was given, right? There's nothing. But you want to show that you're worthy the best that you can, right? Not just for the family, not just for the donor, and not just for all of you people, not just for all of you folks, but also for your family, right? Everything that they've been through. And so my goal was to come back. I couldn't walk, I couldn't drive, I couldn't go to the liquor store, so I was having to deal, I was dealing with my sobriety. It had been 7 months, but you get home and this freedom and you think you can do things. And so I made it my goal to physically come back and to mentally come back. And it was a process. And after the transplant, you talk about post-transplant, what did you do? I just worked. I got up and walked. I had drop foot from the surgery, and so I couldn't move my foot. And so I had to get myself walking again on my own. And I'm sure that my neighbors saw this very skinny, much older looking, because I had a full beard and gray hair, walking down the street with his walker, as a 50-year-old man, wondering, who is that guy, dragging his foot? But my goal was to bring myself back, right? My goal was to bring myself back and to honor the gift that I had been given. And, so post-transplant, that's what I've done. They talk about, what sorts of things do you do now that you couldn't do when you were sick, right? And I did a lot of the things when I was sick, when I was drinking, that I was fortunate I could do. A lot of transplant folks can't do that stuff because they're truly sick and their bodies won't allow it. My body would allow it up to a point, and I did it. But what I wasn't able to do was to be present, and be present with my friends, my family, my kids. And so I hear people talk about, I got to go to my son's graduation, which I did in 2022, and it was fantastic. But what I really get to do is, last night my daughter says, let's go to dinner. So I get to go to dinner with her, right? She's going to school in the fall, and I get to drive her up to New York, right? I go to breakfast with her. I was flying to San Diego for work, and I said, hey, you know what, I'm going to stop in and see my son. Well, he's a college sophomore, he's in a frat, doesn't have much time for me, but he gave me 2 hours. And it was 2 hours, I'd take it a minute, and I'd take it every time, because those are the best, right? And it's the small things. And every time I get something like that, I think of my donor, my donor's family. I think of all the donors, right? And that's one of the reasons I started wanting to do stuff with TOSA, because it's such a sacrifice and a gift that your families and your donors give to people like us. I struggled for a long time. Do I deserve it? Because some of the people I was in the hospital with, they didn't self-inflict, right? They were born with it. And one of the donors at one of these talks came up to me and she goes, you deserve it. As long as you honor your gift, you deserve it. And so that's how I try to approach each day. I talk about 1,741. I was a PE major in college, so I need the app to tell me I got to 1,741 days because I can't count that high, right? And I'm a salesman, so I really can't count that high. And so I look at my app every day, though. I wake up. I have swim practice at 6 a.m. at the University of Texas, and it's one of my routines. My wife was like, nowadays, your routine used to be you'd start drinking at 10 o'clock. We didn't know it, but that's what you would do. Now my routine is I'm up at 4:30 and I walk the dogs. And if I travel, like I was telling Lem, I have to go to San Francisco next week. My whole world is turned on its head because my life has become about those little things. Waking up at a certain time, looking at my app in the morning to know that there is a 1742. I've never been to AA, but I'm going to create my own 5-year chip in July, right? Because that's something that I work towards every day. And none of this could have happened without my donor, my donor's family, and for other people like me, people like you, right? I talk to alcoholics, and they say, we want people to see what a success looks like. I don't consider myself a success. I consider myself fortunate and blessed, right? Because the success are the people like you that make the commitment to give of yourself and give of your family so that we can go on, right? And hopefully, my kids are donors. My wife's a donor. My whole families are donors now. And they understand. We talk about it a lot. Someone had to sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice for dad to keep going, right? And so I try to hold that dear to me every day and make it worthwhile, and I feel like I'm rambling, but it couldn't happen without people like y'all, and I'm overwhelmed. I'm eternally grateful. And I will continue to as Lem said, share my story with anyone who wants to hear it. I love talking about myself as far as this goes, much like Lem, I guess. And I want to be a success, right? I go to swim practice every day to get my body ready, to get my mind ready. So that if somebody asks me and they see the scar on my stomach and they ask me what that is, I tell them, right? I don't back away from it. I live in a household where we're transparent. Dad was an alcoholic for a long time, right? So let's hit it head on. And when I talk to other alcoholics, if you want me to lift up my shirt and show you, I will, because this is what can happen, right? I don't want to have to rely on folks like you. But when it gets to that point, and we have to, I can't tell you how grateful our community is that y'all are out there and that you've given the gifts that you've given. So thank you very much for this honor, and God bless you.
you, Matt. Good afternoon, donor families. Thank you for being here today. My name is Adriana Almanza, and I am the Director of Donor Family Aftercare here at TOSA. We know the pain of losing a loved one never goes away, but we hope today's ceremony and the thought of the lives impacted by your loved one's gift brings you comfort today and every day. The decision to donate or to support your loved one's decision to be a donor is one of the most generous gestures anyone can make. It's a decision that symbolizes hope, renewal, and life, all in the midst of grief. To help us show our appreciation to your loved one and your family, we've created a video from TOSA staff recognizing the 263 donor heroes from 2023 that we would now like to share with you.
Donor families, thank you for joining us. We hope you know your loved one's impact is remembered and honored every day in the Donor Memorial Garden and in the hearts of our staff. Estamos tan agradecidos por cada donante y su familia que dieron el regalo de vida, el regalo más maravilloso del mundo.
Thank you for the precious gift. By giving others a second chance at life through the power of organ donation, your loved one's story will never end. Their legacy lives on.
The Wall of Heroes is a special place of tribute. As you explore the space today, we hope you feel the sense of healing the Donor Memorial Garden is meant to offer.
Each day, we are moved by the selflessness of families like yours. Your decision guides and inspires the work we are honored to do each day.
The decision to save lives gives hope to those on the waiting list. On behalf of the patients waiting for a second chance at life, thank you.
We're grateful to have the opportunity to support you and your loved one with their last act of service as a heroic organ donor.
Our appreciation is echoed by our hospital partners across Central and South Texas. We are all thankful your loved one's gifts can help others grow and thrive.
As TOSA aims to support you during your grief journey, we hope you find comfort in knowing you can always find a moment of solace here.
Organ donors touch countless lives every day, from the recipient themselves to their family and friends. Today, we want to say thank you and rededicate the space that stands to honor your loved one. Thank you for being part of our mission to save lives. Gracias a su familia por ser parte de nuestra misión.
January, Aurora H. Brandy P. Brian B. Caleb H. Daniel R. Eduardo M. Aaron R. Felix V. George A. Jason M. Jesus S. Joe A. Judas I. Catherine P. Kimberly C. Crystal L. Lorena P. Lucas S. Palmer W. Paul S. Parmadokumar P. Richard C. February, Alessandra S. Alfredo H. Bianca E. Bradley H. Dale M. Devante F. Denise R. Gabriel W. Janet S. Johnny G. Juan Y. Roberta B. Ruben H. Stephanie L. Trudy C. Victoria C. March. Alexander E. Anna G. Archie C. Betty W. Christopher W. Denise H. Elijah H. Garrett W. Gregory M. Javier V. Jose N.T. Joseph C. Julia M. Julie L. Kristen M. Lessa H. Mark F. Mateo H. Michaela E. Nicholas C. Noble S. Olga R. Porfirio M. Tiffany K. Wilfrido F. William F. Yubao Q. April. Alexander G. Annette H. Benito M. Brett T. Deborah M. Devin M. Dylan D. Guadalupe I. Hannah H. Isaiah J. L. Jacob F. Jacob Z. James G. John H. Jordan N. Jose H. Josephine A. Lisa Marie R. Martin S. Misael G. Ruben A. Sarita P. Tegan B. Tina P. Tomasa M.C. Vanessa A. Zane S. May. Annabelle J. Arturo G. Jirja B. Guillermo J. H. Jamie J. Jessica M. Jesus G. Jose B. Joseph P. Margarita B. Nancy H. Norma G. Omar L. Rebecca F. Russ H. Sarah B. Sonia M. June. Amy L. Andrew Z. Ariana G. Brian D.G. Shanda M. Colby C. Dominic B. Elaine M. Felipe C. Gabriella A. Harold M. Isai A. Jana G. Javier S. Jeremy L. Jordan C. Julia H. Kason H. Laura R. Leslie H. Merardo D. Teresa D. Victor L. July. Aaron B. Alejandro P. M. Caleb M. Christian L. R. Cirilo G. Federico C. Gilberto T. Iris G. Isabella M. Isaac A. James A. James K. Jason C. Jalen H. Jose B. Joshua L. Junior C.R. Larissa R. Lisa B. Lucian S. Marcos B. Miranda Y. Noe L. Roger R. Ruth A. Samuel O. Sharon S. Terrence A. August. Abel C. D. Adrian A. Aaliyah L. Andres F. Curtis H. Daniel L. David H. James P. Mitchell L. Pedro C. Pierce H. Richard K. Riker T. Stacy J. Stephen L. Yvette T. September. Aaron V. Alexis T. Alfredo R.V. Barbara V. Brandy H. Camilla C. Charlene S. David J. Elizabeth O. Gerardo B. H. Jeffrey C. Juan G. Claudia C. Maria C.P. Maria F. Matthew D. Megan K. Pete P. Robert G. Roberto G. Rolando L. Roman M. Samuel M. October. Alden T. Brian A. Carl W. Carlos G.C. Cindy H. Dario Z.H. Domingo C. Edward R. Everly L. Hillary S. Israel M. Jermaine M. John P. Jose R. Joshua G. Laura M. Mary D. Michael W. Michael W. Oscar G. Rogelio S. Roy V. Santiago M. Sheree W. Thomas O. William N. Yelena S. November. Adam S. Alec C. Alexander V. Charles S. Corey W. John H. John W. Joshua A. Juan A. Keith D. Lorenzo M. Lynn F. Manuel J. Maria M. Mark Z. Michael E. Ricardo M. Roel G. Jamie C. December. Aubrey C. Charla R. Crystal G. Dana R. David M. Erica S. Francesca B. James S. Joan P. Joelle C. John G. Jorge M. Kristen W. Lindsay W. Mariel R. M. Marisela G. Melissa P. Rico C. Vanessa R. William P.
We are beyond grateful to all donor heroes and donor families. We thank each of you for joining us today. I want to recognize the aftercare team, many of whom you have spoken with. Our team members include Edwina Garza, Gabriela Johnson, and Alejandra Galvan. Thank you also to members of TOSA's staff who have volunteered to make today's event run smoothly. From all of us at TOSA, thank you for entrusting us with your loved one's gift. And Lem, I'd like to call you back up to close us out.
So we've come toward the end of at least this part of our time together, but it is not the end of our time here, or at least not of yours. You are welcome to stay as long as you want. The next step will be to go out into the garden and take pictures, or to visit with the Wall of Heroes that honors your loved ones and the decisions that you and they made together in many cases. We are happy to see that so many people have come to celebrate, but we know that this is a big group, and we have to establish a little order to make sure that for safety's sake, we all get to where we need to go next. So there will be a line that we will start, and I didn't ask my friend, where would you like the line to start? On this side? Okay, so they can start lining up here and then just trail back this way? Okay, all right, everybody got that? So the line will start here and come this way. I guess you can start lining up that way to go out and into the garden. Also, while you wait, because it will take a little time to clear the room, we encourage you to look at the photo table in the lobby. You are also welcome to take your loved one's framed photo with you at this time. And if you're interested in sharing your story, we won't in any way pretend to know what it's like and what it takes to heal. But we have been told that it does for some. They do find some healing and some solace in being able to talk about their loved one, that they are real for as long as they continue to mention their name and tell their story and tell people who they were in life and what they did even after their life has ended. As I told you, I am an example, as is my transplant brother, of what that means. If you would like to join TOSA's program, by which opportunities are given for you to do just that, they would be happy to have you do it. It's called the TOSA's Friends for Life Volunteer Program. And if you are looking for more information, my friend and yours, Adriana, and the other members of the aftercare team can help you with doing that, signing up and getting tips on how you can begin that process and how you can write to the recipients, people like me, and hopefully one day make a connection that lets you see in person what your gift did for people like me, my grandchildren, and others. Thank you and have a great day, and let's begin making that line.